Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're ready for some more Ori. This race is going to be the 30th seed Fluffy versus the 35th seed Grimelios. My name is Sparik, and I'm joined on commentary today by Hobbs. How are you doing, Hobbs?
I'm doing great. You're gonna hear this phrase said so many times today, but this is gonna be an exciting matchup, or at least has the potential to be, because man, we have an awesome one coming out of the ILO division today for you. Grim versus Fluffy, two runners whose PBs are 6 seconds apart. That is unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
And not only that, but like the winner of this moves on in the lower bracket to face the loser of match 7 between Elo and Terra. But the loser's out of the tournament, so this is do or die for both of them. And I know we've been memeing it up all tournament. I know Grim especially wants to win this because he expects Terra to lose to Elo, and he really wants to face Terra in the brackets. And of course, Fluffy wants to keep that higher seed and just, get further in the tournament and get his chance at facing Terra as well. So really, really exciting stakes on the line here.
Yeah, this is also kind of a deja vu we're having here because they have already met in the preliminary round, these two runners.
It's true.
Only at that time, Grimelios' PV was a little bit worse than it is now. So this time he's actually favored by just looking at PBs, whereas he wasn't last time.
Yeah, his PB from his race with Mills in the tournament just the other day has brought them within 6 seconds of each other and given Grim the edge when it comes to PBs. I guess we still have it incorrect on our stat sheet, but we'll fix that up for later. And yeah, I mean, you could see it right there in the radar graph, how close this is between the two. And I think the biggest stat to look at here is the consistency stat over the tournament so far, because now we've gotten, 4 or 5 matches out of each of these runners, and that really can start to show what your consistency looks like. So even though their PBs were, pretty drastically different when they met up last time, that consistency is on point for both of them. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, it sure is, and it will definitely make for a very exciting race. I mean, everything can happen here.
It certainly could, and looks like we'll be getting started shortly here for you guys. As you can see, Grim's best race time is equal to his PB, 33:47. However, Fluffy's best race time not quite reaching his PB, so maybe he'll be trying to get one of those tournament race PBs out of the way this time. But both runners have very similar average race times, only within 20 seconds or so. So even if you didn't, even if you kind of think the PB isn't the full story or anything like that, you could see in the tournament so far, they have been pretty similarly matched. I'm hoping we just get a nice close one, and I really don't even think I can pick who's going to win this one.
No, you don't want to pick. But I think both of them would deserve the win here, obviously, just by looking at their PBs. So yeah,
it's going to be a battle.
To see a really close race. Probably keep our trackers on their feet.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a battle in this one, and it's going to be a hard-fought battle, I'm guessing. That's what I'm hoping for. Hard-fought battle, and they really earn their victory. But we're almost off here, and you'll see Fluffy on the left throughout the race, Grimelios on the right side. There we go. Perfectly synced. Both runners starting. Grim with the not even really slightly better prologue skip. And off we go.
Yeah, we're into the first area of the game, sunken glades, as always. Choosing to go left here, maybe getting a color code out of some of these runners. I'm not seeing some yet.
No, not at all. One kind of thing to note too, it's pretty early on, but I know that we heard from Grimelios that he's actually one of the few runners that basically uses no binds, no rebinding of any of his keys, except on the controller he has one bind to toggle the UI on and off, because otherwise it's a keyboard only feature. But other than that, he doesn't use any rebinds, even though they're generally a lot preferred by pretty much every runner of this game. What do you think about the decision, Spark? Is that just something, that's kind of been built out of comfort, or you think maybe he's not looking to change anything drastically mid-tournament?
I honestly don't know what drives Grim there, because it certainly is more hard to execute these tricks, like charge dash storm cancels, which we may be seeing from him here pretty soon, or not very soon, but throughout the end of the
About,
run.
15, 20 minutes, something like that. We'll
That's
see it.
we're fast in the speed run, but yeah,
We'll
he
see with it.
probably can explain a little in an interview afterwards.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to ask. Looks like Fluffy took damage from the first Bramble, and I don't think Grim took any. I didn't really see that. But both perfectly synced at the moment, really. Slightly different routes up this climb. Always interesting to see just the minor things that aren't really speed differentials, but just more of your personal preference or the first way you learned it. Grim got a little unlucky with the drop, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Fluffy have to deal with a health drop. I mean, he'll certainly have to buy the first flower at minimum.
Yeah, Grim was on 3 health when he checked just a few moments ago and got a health drop here, so he might be on 3 health
Wow.
now. Not the best ghost store.
No, certainly unlucky. Yeah, 3 health there. I believe he took a hit from the fish and the water at almost the same time. So, little disadvantage for him at the beginning, but again, that's really just random. Not a lot to it, and nothing too much to worry about during this early game. It is those small things that can eventually build to a lead. I know Grim also does have the restream up, and will have the SRL chat up as well. I don't think he checks it too often, but he does like to have that information available to him. Not 100% sure on Fluffy. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Fluffy, perhaps, Spar.
No, I don't know either if he's watching, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately, we weren't able to catch that. We wanted to make sure we let the runners practice as much as they wanted for something as close as this. Didn't want to disturb them too much. But I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were saying?
I was just going to say that we might be seeing by the way that he will act throughout this race if he's watching or if he's not watching. Might
That's
choose
true.
to play a little safer should he get a lead. Something
Always
like that.
something to keep an eye out for. And Fluffy coming in with the slight advantage right now. Seems to be something on the order of 5 seconds.
Yeah, pretty nice wall jump times here.
I think there was a high 23 for Fluffy and a 27 for Grim, so about 4 seconds apart. Not too bad for the early game. Of course, from this point on not even really this point, but more towards Blackroot Burrows is where it seems a lot easier to take those, early deaths. You have the potential to make some more safety saves in Blackroot Burrows, but it's not always super comfortable to do them without slowing down. So really up to each runner. Fluffy having to blow everything up on the way out of this area. Grim already did it on the way down. Both should be able to react just fine to that when they get to BRB, though.
Look at these neutral jumps by Fluffy there. I'm really liking them. He does a lot of these, I've noticed in his last race. I think that's pretty impressive.
It's one of those things that isn't super immediately obvious, too, to everybody, I think. So very nice to point that out. Like, if you actually hop off the top of a wall, even if you don't use neutral inputs in your normal wall jumping rhythm, at the tops of walls, you can prevent yourself from gaining too much height, so you don't have to fall as far to the ground, saving you just that little bit of time. But if you do it, on every wall that you're gonna land on the top of, then it starts to add up pretty quickly.
Yeah, there are a lot of walls in Ori, so can make for quite a lot of time. Though if you mess up the movement there, it actually loses your time, which is the reason why it's really not a strat you should go for if you have too high of a time.
That's true for sure. Both runners taking magnet, so no kind of, magnetless strats from either of them. Pretty much exactly what we expected here.
Yeah, also no genocide, so both of them will be picking up the 100 XP orb down in Blackwood Forest. No major route change there.
Fluffy, almost a little bit of trouble with that slime, but got through there. Oh, but then falls into the spikes. That is rough for sure. Back to the beginning of Black Burrows. Luckily that happened on the way in and not the way out, where it could have been even worse. But unfortunately, and GDI Hobbs for breaking the replay system. That is my bad on that. But yeah, Grim even got a safety save down now, so he's locking in that lead for a little while here.
Yeah, I had a pretty nice jump up to that orb, only failed it once a little bit, and gets this laser cycle. Nice one.
Wow. That was risky, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was actually a little panicking there.
Looks like he has to wait on the cycle. I think that's just due to not going for the save and reload to manipulate the cycle. As we can see, Fluffy on the left did go for the save and reload. Now, once you've died once in Black Group Burrows, even if you get sent all the way back to the entrance, sometimes your cycles can be thrown off a little bit. So we'll have to keep a close eye on Fluffy's, see if there are any issues. He's barely gonna make it past this laser, and luckily gets all the way to the top without any issues, and will make this cycle even with falling slightly into the spikes after the save and reload. So nice job from Fluffy, managing to, you know, not add any additional time loss since that death.
Yeah, catching up a little bit there. Grim on the other side, though, got his successful platform manipulation here. So he's also on a very good Black Root cycle. Just has to not die through this laser. Oh, he's a little slow.
Oh.
Yeah, that was pretty close again.
That was
these
so
Black Root
low.
lasers.
He landed on that wall so low that he barely got out of there in time. Man, Grim just really trying to keep everybody on the edge of their seat. All right, well, Fluffy also had a nice cycle manipulation, so mitigating the time loss to a degree. You know, it luckily didn't run into any kind of like infinite death issues, which is very easy to happen in Black Group Burrows, especially if you're the first one to take an early one.
Yeah, so you're certainly pretty happy where you're finally out of Black Root Burrows, like both of these runners are going to be now. They're pretty much safe now. But yeah, of course, the next hard trick is right in front of the door here.
Yeah, and I wanted to check real quick. Yeah, Fluffy did not go for the cutscene stack. But yeah, Grim coming up to the Frankie Walk now, and hopefully shouldn't have any issues. I think I'm seeing some nice glide cancel dashes from Grim as well. Very minor advanced tech that is really nice to see him putting into his repertoire. Ooh, Fluffy almost fallen back down from the slime, but luckily gets over him just fine. And Grim having to take an extra hop from the Frankie Walk, but hopefully no major issues you know, should be had here. Otherwise, we would certainly see a big lead swing.
Yeah, I mean, because we're not seeing like world record attempting people versus not world record attempting people here, all these major minor time losses don't really matter too much, and neither of these runners really had a death or anything, so it's still a pretty close race.
Yeah, 22 seconds apart at the last update of Dash, so not bad at all. Certainly something that Fluffy could surmount. Grim, though, nice job in the Death Gauntlet. He gets through perfectly fine. Fluffy's going to take his attempt now, does a slightly different method of dealing with the slime and Frankie. I think he might have taken 3 damage. It was hard to tell, but he's not going for Death Glide, so he shouldn't be at risk of dying here, and he does get a health drop anyways. Now, Grim is up to the early Grotto cycle, but does not attempt this trick. He says it's not so much because of the difficulty of the trick or anything. It's that he does not like the fact that there is that small chance to die, and he would rather put his time practicing other tricks and other segments of the run. Fluffy, though, I think does go for it, so this will be interesting.
0%? Ah, yeah.
That was actually very close.
Right there.
Those first 3 dashes looked very good, and unfortunately just slight hiccup with the wall climb. It's a very precise trick. So no early Grotto cycle from either runner here today. Grimelios first up to double jump does set a new best race time for
which was his PB, so
that is true. Yeah, we get the nice on-screen updates of Grim's PB, don't we? And he waited to go up the wall there. I wonder if he, sees that he has the little bit of a lead and didn't want to risk dying, from those spikes doing the blind climb. That is a time Fluffy could save, though.
Sure, but again, just minor things. Really
go.
what Fluffy would need here is, dare to say it, death by Grim. Or something like that.
Yeah, a failed Grotto skip like that. That was certainly a really rough failure, too, because it fell all the way down. And Grim, now having trouble with it, he is still on this trick. Fluffy rapidly approaching, picks up the energy cell, be catching up in just a moment. Grim does finally get up there successfully, so nice job. Now, Fluffy, first try would mean a lot here.
Oh, no.
Almost gets it. Very close. Will the second attempt do it? No. And this is the kind of problem with Grotto skip. Once that log starts a swinging, this gets a lot more difficult. And oh my god, almost gets up there at the same rate as Grim. Unfortunately, looking like gonna be a little iffy. Okay, Fluffy is now up there. Because of the fact that Grim fell all the way to the bottom a bit, I think that ended up being effectively a wash between the two.
Yeah, it looks like neither of them really got much time over the other there at the grotto skips. Pretty rough grotto skips for both of them. So the lead should be about 20 seconds for Grim still.
And he didn't skip as much of the slow zone as he would have liked at Watervein. Again, super minor things, but let's see on the left side if Fluffy can take care of it a little bit better. Definitely does. Wow, skips the slow zone almost entirely. Great job from Fluffy. So again, that's maybe 1 second, but that's 1 second that Fluffy needs.
Yeah, he sure does. Also, Grim didn't get past the slime here. Maybe just another little thing Fluffy will get. We'll have to wait and see. Nice dash glide through the spikes there by Grim. Casual picking up the XP. Yeah,
and
pretty
he's
solid movement so far.
Yeah, he's still climbing very well.
Yeah.
I didn't quite catch if Fluffy got through Gandalf, but...
No, me neither.
It's a minor thing. I was unfortunately watching Grim's movement. Ooh, Fluffy taking 3 damage from the spikes. Yeah, I don't disagree with that decision. Just jumping back in the spikes. Had the safety save right there and the hyperspeed to mitigate some of the time loss. Unfortunately, the problem with that death is that you have to wait for your experience to tick all the way back up. So you have to take longer to kill the frog that's blocking your path. But it's still certainly better than going for the dodge on the slime at 1 health and then getting hit and just wasting more time anyways.
Yeah, or these things... Oh, having a little bit of trouble going through that. Now he's through. These spinning arms here are also something that you don't want to die to there, so being at 4 HP is a little bit more comfortable.
Alright, Grim into Ginso Tree now. Fluffy approaching quickly. Grim's not having too many issues. Some nice ninja jumps from him as well on the tops of some of these walls, so not letting Fluffy be the only one to shine from the minor optimizations.
Yeah, he's also doing the neutral jumps here.
Yes, the neutral ninja jumps.
Oh yeah,
yeah, same terminology.
My bad.
You always got to go with the more fun name. There's commentator tip. You got to go with the more fun name, even if it's less accurate. No, I kid. Ooh, Fluffy takes damage from the Gamer on the left, but does get up safely. That was very close, actually. It's really hard to deal with the Gamer, especially if you're not expecting to take the hit. But I think Fluffy was ready for it and knew how to react. Both made effectively the same cycle. Grim a little cleaner because he didn't take the hit that Fluffy did. So maybe just patting that lead just a hair.
Yeah, and Grim is up to his mini-boss now. Because he's on controller, he doesn't get his grow weed shooting here, so a 5 cycle is pretty hard. But a 6 cycle would certainly be very nice.
He is doing a nice job of noticing the tells from the boss as well. Managed to catch him. Well, I shouldn't have said anything, because unfortunately he did miss a spawn. He might have even been blocking one by standing too far to the left, but I believe that was 6 cycles and intentional damage boost from him as well to set up his health for the next ghost door.
Yeah.
Fluffy seems to be having pretty similar luck when it comes to this boss on the spawn locations, but dealing with them maybe a bit quicker. And barely finishes off that boss in time. It was very close.
Yeah, also does his damage boost here. Grim got his Ghost Draw and he's onto Bash now. Bash, of course, giving him control over every Unix system in the world. Pseudo win race, and it's over. Actually had the one planned.
No, he just wants to RM-RF Fluffy's game.
Oh, exactly.
There you go. Oh man, Grim having some nice bash cycles as well. You know, it really comes down to that precise wall climbing. As long as you can execute it very well, then you can make some earlier spitter cycles. We'll see if he goes for the intentional damage boost here to set up his health. He does. Having a little trouble getting that save down, but he still makes the same cycle. Unfortunately, not able to damage boost up the wall in time. Fluffy's now reached bash as well. And Grim, he's sitting almost 10 seconds ahead of his PB at the moment.
Wow. I mean, he has... Oh no!
Oh no, Spark!
Get the keys in there.
Oh man, I'm good. That's my fault. I just said he was ahead of his PB.
Yeah, this will tie him with his PB pretty much now. I mean, it's still a great pace for him though. But I was just going to mention that he said he had done a lot of practice these past few days. Gets his key drop now. He's still ahead of Fluffy.
Yeah, he is, basically one cycle through this area ahead of Fluffy at the moment, because Fluffy still has to duplicate the keys by putting him in the door while dying. And that is certainly a rough time loss. That evens out the race a lot more, because it is something on the order of 15 seconds or so, and Grim had been building just a slight extra bit of lead throughout the exit of Moon Grotto and the entrance of Ginso, so that is going to close that gap quite a bit. Oh, but Fluffy not quite climbing to the best of his ability either. Or maybe the health setup might have been slightly off. Yeah, it looks like it was actually the latter.
Yeah, he's not opting to go for the damage boost, so his health is probably down to 2 already now. Does he go for the hyperspeed? He does. Does he get it?
Oh, I think he did. I think he actually did. He just didn't jump in time, unfortunately. That looked like he did indeed get the speed, but minor things. Grim now coming up to a major thing, the swamp entry trick. And now he said that he was going to skip the save to glitch out this cutscene. He was going to skip the blind movement. Not because he's worried about the blind movement, because he wants to place this safety save here before the frog, and he finds that the blind movement makes it a lot harder for him to do so. His setup's looking great so far, Spark.
Yeah, these quick bashes pretty impressive actually. It knows exactly where he has to put his analog stick for these bashes. Some nice muscle memory there. Bashes a few shots and he's already through. Didn't even need the safety save there. Well
he
done.
Drops the save immediately too, so great job from Grim. Not going to have the ability to do the ghost door here, but it only saves a fraction of time anyways. Now Fluffy also didn't go for the blind movement. See if he drops the safety save here. Oh, doesn't.
Oh, does it there?
Oh, interesting. Picks up some energy and then drops the save. That is an odd way to do things. Now, also sitting lower on health, have to avoid a damage boost here. Fluffy is going to go for the double bash method, though.
Does he get it? Gets the cell. No face shot, and he's already through.
Wow,
so both of them first try swamp entry, right?
Yeah, successful first attempt from both runners. That is great to see at all times. Grim making his way out of Stomp. Fluffy going for the hyperspeed reload to get into Swamp. Unfortunately, not able to get it, so going to lose a bit of time for going for that. But, man, it's still pretty close. And this is the kind of thing where it might take a major mistake at this point for Grim to swing things. But there are still... The difference between the two runners is still in the range of time loss that can happen from potentially one big trick fail, like a fast stompless.
Yeah, or just this Kuro cutscene skip here, which loses about 17 seconds, is also something that Grim would definitely want to get here.
Yeah, it's true. Would cut the lead in about half, but he nails it first try. Great job from Grim to improve his tournament average on that trick, and I believe improve the average of all participants in the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. Fluffy
yeah,
definitely.
Grim also skipping the health here.
Yeah, and I don't think he plays a safety save either, Spark. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there, but what do you... Like, walk me through that decision. What do you think about not placing a safety save there over some of that, difficult terrain?
It probably has to do with what Grim has told before the race, that he will be doing a little bit of ballsy movement here, because that somehow gets his nerfs down a little bit, and so they don't... Oh no, Fluffy doesn't get Kuro cutscene skip here. Yeah,
unfortunately, just set up, looked maybe a little too far to the right, or jumped to the left when buffering the bash or something, but... Unfortunate failure there is not going to help him when the deficit is already built to over 30 seconds. That's only going to extend Grim's lead at the moment. And he's looking fantastic so far. Really just the one key duplication hiccup. But everything else since then has looked fantastic from Grim. We'll have to see if Fast Stompless or some of the other tricks in Valley are potentially going to be the first ones to change that, or if he manages to keep up this great pace.
Yeah, we're getting word of our truck that Grim is 20 seconds ahead of his PB at Charge Flame, so already on PB pace again. And yeah, not giving Fluffy too much time to catch up here. So
That's
basically,
fantastic.
just like a set hops, he has to do a major mistake here for Fluffy to really be able to take this race now.
And here's the thing is I don't think Fluffy's been playing poorly at all, you know, just had one pretty rough death in Black Root Burrows to kick things off, and then only one failed trick since then, right? Just missed Kuro cutscene skip, which is a precise setup. So Fluffy doesn't seem shaken is what I'm trying to get at here. Certainly seems like he could still capitalize on any mistakes if Grim should give him an opening, but it's really up to Grim at the moment to give him that opening. And ooh man, I can't tell the fast stompless setups at all at the moment, so we'll see if he gets it here.
Doesn't kill it.
He missed it, so unfortunately he's gonna have to try again. We'll see if he goes and stomps the rocks or if he takes another shot at the redirection. He is just gonna go stomp the rocks. So here we go. Fluffy has a chance to catch up tens of seconds here, I believe something on the order of 20 or so, if he gets this first try, and that could really help close that gap.
Yeah, that decision by Grim is probably because he's watching the race, and Fluffy, I mean, he's still on his heels, so yeah, probably not
Doesn't
worth
want,
going to try more missing fast stompless there.
especially since you have the chance to die, you know, like while doing fast stompless, whereas you're not likely to die if you go and stomp the rocks.
Oh, that success rate for Fluffy isn't too good for stompless though.
Well,
Let's
we'll
see how he does. Yeah.
Grabs the shot, angle that looked a bit low, and gets hit by the spider. Might not have gotten away in time. This is gonna be close. No, Fluffy not able to get it. Looks like the shot was unfortunately a bit low. Now, because he took a hit, has to be careful about not dying while going up to stomp the rocks as well. So we basically just get a mirror of Grim's route through that section.
Grim again not safety saving here before Summer Bash, so going ballsy just like he told us.
Oh, and he bashes the bird into the ceiling. He didn't even want to die. He said, no, I'm not giving the game the satisfaction. I'm going to reload. And we're going to try again from this bottom frog, launching it all the way up to the birds. And we'll see if he drops the save this time. I wouldn't expect one if he didn't do it last time.
Yeah, he's fine.
Of course, Fluffy is now rapidly approaching. Grim has to basically get it on this attempt. It's looking good, and there he goes. He's into Sorrow Pass now. So not quite handing the lead over to Fluffy, but handing the opportunity for some time.
Oh, and he rocket jumps a little bit far here. So, yeah, minor things, but Fluffy did a safety save, or not a safety save, he just rekindled his save here that he made before he went down to get the feather. And if he gets this first try, he'll make up some time, and this looks good so far. And there we go.
He's in, so Fluffy really trying to take advantage of the mistake from Grim. Grim didn't make any more mistakes in Sorrow, really, not after that rocket jump, so no big issues there. He's still ahead of his tournament average charge jump time at the moment. Fluffy is going to opt for a safety save here. I don't think he has the energy for a Ghost Door save now, but oh man, narrowly dodging the spikes there as Grim is going to head back out through the door, making his save anywhere off of that initial Ghost Door save. Fluffy actually did have the energy and will be probably making his save anywhere at the same location.
Yeah, he certainly will. I think there's no doubt about that. Because you want to save as much energy as you can for Misty here, so doing an extra save before Terror Break would lose you an energy. And yeah, there we go.
I think Fluffy actually lost an energy, but got a lucky energy drop from the slime, or perhaps one from the crystal from earlier, and unfortunately dashes right into the spikes. And we'll have to take a second attempt. Not the most costly of deaths, but I mean, Fluffy can't afford to be giving up any time at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly can, because Grim is, as we've told before, on a very good pace here. Apart from the Sorrow Bash didn't really give much opportunity. And yeah, look at these Storm Cancels. They are manual Storm Cancels, I'd like to add.
And he got a nice cycle on the way out too, despite, kind of waiting there for a moment to see what the lasers were going to give him. So that's fortuitous for Grim. He's going into Misty. Now, Misty is, of course, as we like to say, the great equalizer, but he has to get there first. Takes a big death off the spikes, sent all the way back up to the top of the mountain, and will have to try again.
He was going for the no feather strat there, which is fairly dangerous.
To say the least.
For it. Yeah, sadly got punished, but this he doesn't learn. He's going for it again, and this time he gets it.
I believe he dropped some energy, and he did check his UI to see if he had enough to drop that safety save. Now, if he does the kind of popular movement here, once he gets up to this Frankie, then he will run out of energy. So I assume that he will forego an uncanceled charge dash. But look at this. Fluffy gets out of Sorrow first try, not even making a safety save, gets into Misty, and is working towards where Grim is, has to take an extra dash at the bird. But Grim, you know, he's sitting on one energy. He can't really afford to make any mistakes.
He took a death.
But Fluffy at the same time. What? Oh, no.
Oh, that was so unfortunate.
That is really rough, especially for how well Fluffy was looking from the exit of Sorrow. And
yeah, he was catching up pretty quick there. Didn't make the safety save. Sadly got punished for it. Grim did make a safety save.
yeah,
Probably
he
doesn't even need it here.
It's crazy too because he couldn't have even known yet. Like, it was so fast that Twitch delay had not caught up yet for you know, for him to have known that Fluffy took a death. So he just made that safety save, taking the judgment call, saying, I need a save here. I need to spend the time to pick up the energy. And it turned out that that was the best decision he could have made, since Fluffy had just taken a huge death and unfortunately has an issue with his rocket jump as well, and is now evaluating his options. He doesn't know the backup here. There are a few ways to deal with it, and he is going to go with the rocket jump and then stomping the spike. So he's sitting on 1 health now, has to very, very carefully navigate through the rest.
Enough energy for a save here, and immediately drops a save. Reasonable decision, I'd say.
Yes, certainly is. Grim not giving any opportunities at the moment, still working through Misty, trying to solidify that lead as much as he can. I'd be curious to know what his energy situation is like, to see if he will make a save at this next Keystone. Even before the Keystone, actually, he's going to make one. So really wants to make sure that he doesn't give Fluffy any opportunities, and Fluffy, unfortunately, is just finding the spikes in Misty too tasty for you know, the liking of Ori. And will be sent back again. That is rough.
Yeah, it's Misty. It's always, you get this very cool movement, but each of these spikes is just dick.
Grim taking even a safer, you know, method at this. I'm not even sure that is safer, but a slower method at the boss, something he's maybe more comfortable with, and made a safety save right before. So you can tell he's certainly making his decisions based on the state of the race at the moment. Exiting
he
Misty
wants
now.
to close out this race to fulfill his destiny, per se.
And he had a moment there to see kind of where Fluffy was, you know, while waiting for the key door to open. So he likely knows, all right, I've got basically half of Misty as an advantage at the moment. You know, he was leaving as Fluffy was entering. He takes a misstep with one of his stomp cancels there, but he gets back up quickly enough. Knows he's still got a pretty solid lead going into light grenades, so I would expect a little more safety to continue coming out of Grim, while Fluffy really has to forego any safety whatsoever.
Yeah, Fluffy cannot afford any safety, as long as it's not free, of course. But he probably should go for some more uncancelled charge dashes here, rather than safety, because even if he takes a death here, it's not really going to cost him the race anymore.
Right. Does go for the safety save anyways. Maybe a little bit worried about this rocket jump, but gets up there. Not the most powerful of jumps, but it was not too bad.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty important to get this fast mini-boss skill here.
And so far could match Grim. That basically matches Grim on that, so...
Yeah, I'd say that was pretty much two cycles right there.
Yeah, not catching up time, but not giving up any additional. Grim had a nice Yoka cycle, so he's still looking solid going into Grenade. As you can see, he's still ahead of his average race time in the tournament so far, and I mean, that's really what you kind of hope to get out of a no reset run. especially one that had issues with fast Stompless and Kidu.
Yeah, and also all these tournament runs are probably a little bit harder on your nerves than just a casual no reset run.
Certainly.
So, yeah, that's another factor, of course. It doesn't get the very nice rocket jump exit here, but either way, a very quick exit, and Grim
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
really need every second now to win this race. So
exactly. He's giving Fluffy maybe 2 to 5 seconds at a time by doing some of the slower strats, but Grim can give up, you know, a ton of 5-second strat advantages from this point onwards. He's got a solid lead. All it really comes down to is, can I finish the rest of the game without dying, and can I not get infinited on the last 2 tricks? So hopefully Grim, you know, won't let that happen, and he certainly seems to be playing with determination at the moment.
yeah, and also we'll skip this health here. We'll go for the 5 HP swim.
Now that one I'm surprised by, Spark. What do you think? I know he said that he was gonna do 5 HP, but we know that he knows he's in the lead. I mean, would you make the same decision, the same call, if you were in his place?
I probably would, because he might be trying out how he feels doing 5 HP in a tournament race, so he's prepared for doing it when he has to do it next race, maybe something like that.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to think of it. I wouldn't have thought about it that way myself for sure. Fluffy, meanwhile, not getting the rocket jump either, but has had some very nice stomp cancels. Oh,
Friendly
what?
spikes.
Okay. We'll take it. Fluffy is going to hug the spikes and live to tell the tale. Grim now, though, on to the first of 2 frame perfect tricks at the end of the run. Does not get door work successfully right away, but Fluffy is still an entire map away.
Yeah, but he's catching up quickly.
Yeah,
hopefully Grim doesn't get infinited by the door mob here.
He does need to get this soon. This is, of course, the famous trick of this run. Just have to press up on the first frame the game loads. 0.016 second timing. And Grim is finally through. Okay, so he gave a lot of time back to Fluffy there, but it's still going to take something major, like a late death or a soft lock from Grim, for Fluffy to have a real big, you know, chance back in this one. And I hate to bring it up, but ooh, wow, nice terror jump from Fluffy. But I hate to bring it up, but Grim has lost a race on grenade jump before, so I'm saying I don't think that will happen to him again. I think he will not let that happen to him again. I wouldn't even be surprised if he skips the grenade jump if he feels he's far enough ahead.
Yeah, depending on how fast Fluffy will get this door warp here, he can be pretty safe on final escape if he's not doing the grenade jump.
And Fluffy gets it
first
first try.
So since Grim is watching, probably putting on a little bit of pressure. I don't actually know if he has to do the final grenade jump.
Oh man, this is right on the fringe of that possibility. I think Grim would still... I think he would barely be safe if he didn't go for it.
Because
but
I
yeah,
wouldn't know.
It's too close. Oh, he bashed into the wall. He didn't jump off. He could potentially soft lock, but he fails his first attempt. Here comes up the second one. He's going to charge, aim, and miss again. Gonna have to take a third try here. If a soft lock happens or a death somehow, then Grim now will be in second place. He does not soft lock. He's through, and we'll have to make sure that he didn't get the fake final cutscene skip. It looked like Ori was running to the right there, so I think he's safe. And GG to Grim, taking a hard-fought victory just like we thought it would be, with Fluffy, man, almost managing to claw his way back into it.
Yeah, right on his heels. If he gets this grenade jump first try, second try. Oh, it did the bash.
Dashed into the wall. That could potentially, we have found out recently that dashing or bashing into the wall could cause issues, but Fluffy dashes into the end. I wouldn't be surprised if Fluffy has the restream open based on that decision.
Yeah.
Saw that Grim was successful with his grenade jump and said, all right, I gave it my all, and dashes into the cutscene.
He certainly gave it his all. I mean, this was just as close as a race as we expected.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where we didn't see a lot of lead changes, right? But
you're right.
It was never, you know, Grim never ran away with it in that Fluffy didn't have a chance to win, as we saw right down to the end. It's, wow, man, Fluffy really fought hard in those last 2 segments, trying desperately to get back into it. And a 35:01 from Grim is going to beat both of their tournament average race times and will give him the win-back victory against Fluffy, or rather the rematch victory. And Grim will go on to face the loser of Terra versus Elo. So we may indeed get the fabled Terra versus Grim matchup.
It has been destiny from the start.
The stars have aligned and allowed us potentially get that match. We'll have to see when Terra faces Elo in the upper bracket who comes out victorious there. Fluffy with some nice optimal jumps to the ending will close out with a 36-14. And again, a minute behind Grim, but half of that is from that ending cutscene. So really, for the most part of the race, it was within about 30 seconds or so. And I want to give it huge props to Fluffy for really fighting hard in those final sections.
Yeah, huge props. Fluffy will sadly be out of this tournament now, because this was a lower bracket match, and the loser doesn't get a second chance in the lower bracket.
Yeah, that is their second chance, right?
Yeah.
So the way it works, even though these two are 1-1 in their head-to-head matchup, Fluffy had already lost a match in the bracket, in the upper part of the bracket. So that is why that, Grim will still be advancing. I'm going to see if we can get a few words from our runners here. I know we've got Grim. I'm going to check with Fluffy as well, but unfortunately, I think we're having some issues with the SRL system. But in the meantime, Grim, thank you for joining us, and GG, congrats on the victory, man.
Honestly, I wasn't sure if I did win because SRC died, and I'm not clear on the stream delay. So I'm happy I won. I wasn't sure up until the end.
That's crazy. Well, please take us through the moments from door warp onwards. Normally, I like to start at the beginning of the race, but that is certainly where I'm sure your mind must have been racing.
It was, especially because, as I said, I didn't actually know. I knew I was ahead, but I didn't know by how much. I mean, I'm not sure what there is to say about door warp. It's a frame perfect trick. Everybody knows that. So, like, I don't really know how to practice it, you know? I've done door warp a trillion times, and I guess today it just didn't really want to work. Even the grenade jump at the end, I got it, I think, 4th try. So, I mean, it's better than nothing, but I find it very difficult to practice those frame perfect tricks, because some days it just seems to work and some days it just sort of doesn't. It's hard to say why.
Mm-hmm. Now, going into the final escape, did you think that you had, maybe enough padding to be able to skip the final grenade jump, or were you so worried about how close it was? Because we know you were, checking in on the state of the race every now and then. Were you convinced it was close enough where you had to get that final grenade jump?
I think I probably knew that I could have skipped it. I didn't want to, first of all, just because I've skipped it in other races and I've never been happy about it. It's kind of like, I don't want to let it beat me. I don't want to be scared of the trick. And also, after I had tried it a few times, it almost is like a sunk cost fallacy. It's like, well, I don't want to give up now because now I've given up even more time. I guess it was maybe 50-50, and so I just decided to go for it.
Well, paid off, for sure.
Yeah.
Spark, any moments in particular in that race you want to ask Grim about?
Not moments in particular, just your general way of handling this race. I mean, you were, Grim, pretty far, or not pretty far, but you had a pretty nice lead when you were approaching things like Sorrow Bash, and then you had a little bit of trouble and you didn't choose to save afterwards. I mean, you did mention before that you were going for ballsy strats. So was that just a way to stay ballsy, to keep your nerves calm, or what was the reason why you didn't save there?
It's basically exactly what you said. I mean, the first time it failed, and so, that sucks. Obviously, I wasn't planning on dying. And the second time, if I had stopped to make a save, I think it's equally likely I would have just sort of messed up and then not had enough energy, and I don't know, it could have made a mistake. Like, a lot of my movement is, like anyone's movement, is based around exactly having the amount of energy that I have, and so I kind of thought, screw this. I know I can do this. I just have to take it another attempt. Overall, I'm really not happy with that run, to be honest. Like, I'm very happy I won, but there was a lot of slop in that race that I really need to clean up for next time.
I mean, even so, still performing ahead of your tournament average race time is always something that is nice to see. So I want to still congratulate you on your performance in that regard. I mean, there were especially very few issues until Sorrow, and then maybe a bit more Slop and Misty, but like for the most part, I was very impressed with the clean play, and I'm sure you were fighting very hard for what you did end up potentially getting, which is that matchup in the round of 32 against the one and only Elo Jiminy. Or, you know, maybe Terra.
We'll see. I'm trying as hard as I can. I mean, for the next race, we'll see what happens, but I mean, it's likely that Brynhold will win. And I mean, Fluffy was a hard match.
Oh, that's right. I'm not even reading the bracket right. You're right.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. How are you feeling about potentially facing Brynhold or F?
I mean, I'm capable of beating him. Like, my Soma Best proves that I'm capable of getting times that can beat him, but I just need to keep grinding to the point where even with tournament nerves, I can sort of pull off the tricks. I will not win against Bryn with the kind of mistakes I got today. I feel pretty confident with that. And I feel pretty lucky. I'm going to have to watch the race back, but I assume Fluffy must have had a handful of issues as well. You know, so like I think the level of play I did today probably wouldn't win against Bryn. If he wins.
You're playing pretty similarly throughout most of the race, except Fluffy just had a, you know, kind of a major death earlier on. But then it was really closer to the end when you really kind of secured that lead and kept it going for a while. But either way, man, GG. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to your next match against Brynhold or F, please, not Terra or Elo, because even though I made the bracket look pretty, I still apparently can't read it. Or maybe I was just too excited. Anyways, yeah, that was fantastic. And Spark, any final questions or anything?
No, I'm good.
All
Just
right.
GG Grim. Good luck on your next race.
Thank you.
Practice a little bit in the late game and you'll be fine. I'm pretty sure.
You're not wrong.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, that early game was sick.
It was indeed, and hopefully we'll be getting that out of our next match as well, because this match that we got coming up next time is Griffs versus Grease, and their PBs. We just had a matchup with PBs that were 6 seconds apart. If I remember correctly, the PBs between Griffs and Grease are 5 seconds apart, I think.
Yeah, you're right. They are 5 seconds apart.
So the Ream division is not letting the ILO division, you know, have the hypest match of the day. They are going to have a great one as well. That'll be brought to you by Spark again and Kyrfel. So I'm looking forward to that, and we'll see y'all after the break.